Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be House of Dragons, a Game of Thrones prequel, Season 1, Episode 1. Let's get into it. So subscribe to the channel, like the video. A lot of us that was in tune with the Game of Thrones, we didn't know what to think when we heard it was going to be some spin-off series going on. And one of the series, word came up that it was going to be a spin-off series that happened long before time. So it kind of was like, you don't know what to think. Nevertheless, that's what it was. And from there, we just had to wait and see. Now, there's no doubt in my mind they're going to put together a good script, and and have us all in tune. And then they set it off. The first episode was about an hour and 11 minutes, and they jumped right into it. So the setting of this is about 200 years before the original Game of Thrones Season 1, and it's 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen was born. Now, let's go over some of the characters that we've seen in Episode 1. Now, what seems to be the main character is Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen. She's the one that we've been seeing in the trailers. She's the one on this poster right here that seems to be that she's gonna be the main character, do everything. From there, we got Prince Daemon Targaryen. Now, he's the brother of King Viserys, in which he is like the rebel and heir to the throne because the king doesn't have a young son. So, but the rest of everybody doesn't want him to be the heir because he's too unpredictable and he's not really king-like. Then you got King Viserys, and he was chosen by the lords of Westeros to succeed the old king. So the setting starts 9 years into him being king. Then you have Otto Hightower. He's the hand to the king, and he faithfully serves the king. Then you got Alicent Hightower. She's the daughter of Otto Hightower and the most comely woman of the Seven Kingdoms. Now, she's also Rhaenyra's like best friend. But I can see somewhere that's going to end. Then you have Lord Corlys. They call him the Sea Snake. He's the Lord of the House of Valerian, the bloodline of the a Valerian bloodline as the old House Targaryen. Now, he has a wife, which is Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, and of course, like I said, she's the wife of Lord Corlys. Now, they also make joke of that she the queen that never was. Then you have Sir Criston Cole, and he's Dornish descent. And if you remember, Dorne, a member of the Dorne fought the Mountain, and when he was beating them, he began to celebrate. Mountain clipped him. Instead of him just finish the Mountain, he didn't. The Mountain clipped him, stood over top of him, and pushed his eyeballs in. You remember that? So you get to see some of that fighting style in this first episode as well. And then you have Mysaria. Now you can see she's like Prince Daemon Targaryen's, like that's his girl pretty much, and she's like his confidant. She like pushes him like, you're gonna be great, you know, you're gonna be the king one day. So in this episode, you see the king. His queen is Emma, and she hasn't been able to bear a child after Rhaenyra. And so he wishes Rhaenyra was a boy. She rides the dragons and everything like that, and she would rather ride dragons than be a childbearer. So he's been trying to have a son. Princess Emma, Queen Emma's pregnant throughout this whole episode to the end. So you get this, see the different talks. You get to see that Princess Rhaenyra rides a gold dragon. I didn't get the name of the dragon yet. They probably mentioned it, but it flew over my head. So I eventually will get the name of her dragon. So she has a gold dragon, and you get King Viserys sits down with his wife Emma, and he pretty much tells her like, "Hey, everything's gonna be okay. I'll know this is a boy inside of you. I just know. So they are enjoying the festivities, and of course, the festivities of back in the day is when the jousting where the knights with the horses with the long stick and see who lose. So of course, Prince Damon, he's beating everybody till he comes up against Sir Criston Cole. And it seems like Princess Rhaenyra, she's fond of him. That's what it seems like. And so after you do the jousting and you knock whoever off of the horse, you can challenge them to a duel, to fight. And so that's what you've seen the knights do, and then some of them got killed. But when it came to Prince Damon and Criston Cole, Prince Damon wanted to challenge him, but Damon ended up beating him and told him kneel, basically give up. And he gave up. So I thought he was going to sneak him at first. I thought he was going to sneak him and kill him, but he didn't. So while this was going on, the queen was having a baby. And when they went and told the king that she's having a baby, they told him that she was breached and the baby didn't turn so that it could come out normal. And I guess the umbilical cord was wrapped around. So what basically ended up happening is, of course, both of them could die, and both of them could die, or the baby could die. So they faced the king with a decision, basically telling him, "Hey, we've seen a procedure done. Basically, it's what we now call a C-section. But of course, you got to think back in them times, they weren't, medical wasn't advanced, so they could do things that we do now, and they would die. So they went all the way in this episode, and they showed that, and they basically told him he had to make a sacrifice. Either they both die, or sacrifice one could die and the other one would survive. With him desperately wanting a son, he made the choice to sacrifice his wife for a son. And so, of course, by them cutting her open to get the child out, she would lose a lot of blood and basically bleed out. So he sat down with her and pretty much held her hand, told her that he loved her, and she, I guess she kind of sedated in a sense, and she's like, and he just looked at her, and she looked at, like, he said they're gonna take the baby out now, and before you know it, they pulled her, and she's like, what's going on? So they pretty much held her down. He held her hand, and she was like, no, I don't want to, she's not ready to die, but he sacrificed her. So it took the baby out of her, and of course you see all the blood. She just bled out, right? But then you hear the baby making certain noise, and before it happened, I said it to myself. I said, watch the baby pass away. because you hear the baby making certain noises, and they were like, "Do you got a name for the baby?" And he, the king is sitting there like distraught, like he just sacrificed his wife, and he had a name, but of course the the baby passed too. So it went right to like the funeral scene where it showed the wife wrapped up, and it showed the little baby wrapped up as well. Now you had Princess Rhaenyra there, and the uncle and Princess Rhaenyra has a bond, and he gave her a piece of early in the episode. He gave her a piece of their lineage, like a necklace about the Targaryen lineage, and he pretty much he was sitting at the throne. So the famous Iron Throne with all the knives. He was sitting there, and basically that's treason for him to be sitting there. But you could tell he desperately wants to be king, and so he went up to her at the funeral, basically telling her she's mourning for her. That's her mom that died too. So he's telling her the dad needs you right now. So she's broken up. So her dragon is sitting at the top of the hill, and she got to call her dragon down. And at the time, you don't know what she's calling her dragon to do, but she's calling her dragon to burn her mother and her brother that didn't, make it. So, at that time, the council pretty much wanted to tell the king, listen, you don't got no heir, and right now you don't got no, all you got is your daughter. We need you to name the heir to your throne. And so he was like, pretty much, all right, well, my brother is. And they like, nah, we can't have your brother. Basically he's too uncouth. He can't be trusted, unstable. So they were making a case. Let me not say they. They weren't making a case. Prince Damon, he's listening to this, by the way, in the shadows as well. So Lord Corlys basically said his wife, of course, Princess Rhaenys, could be an heir to the throne too. Basically, they don't respect women, so they ain't not looking for no woman to be, heir to any throne or whatever. So the king pretty much said, hey, I just lost my wife and son. Like, scrap all this. He was making a case for his brother, but basically saying, like, I just lost my wife and son. Like, have compassion. So he left. Meanwhile, that night, Prince Damon, he was out partying, and he made a gesture pretty much that said, like, he named what the king was going to name his son, and basically like, hail to King Prince such and such. He reigned for a day, or whatever. So that was like an insult. That was just to show where his passion was. And even though the council told the king about his brother, basically saying like, yo, your brother will snake you. Given the opportunity, he'll snake you. So he like, what you saying? My brother would like kill me? He like, yeah, basically saying like, he's stern and all that, but he ain't that desperate where he would want to kill me or whatever. So when he witnessed that, he brought his brother in and pretty much told his brother like, hey, did you say it? And the brother pretty much said, yeah, we all grieve different, so that was one of the ways that I grieved. So that made the king upset. So he kind of like, in a sense, banished his brother to go off elsewhere. And that was what he needed to motivate him to make his daughter, Princess Rhaenyra, the heir to the throne or whatever. Which would that was going to come with conflict, because one, the rest of the kingdom don't respect a woman, and from there, so you see all that get ready come about. But then you had what's his name? I gotta think what was his name. Otto Hightower. So Sir Otto Hightower, which is the hand to the king, he took his daughter Allison, told her, you know, the king is mourning. You need to go say hello to him, show him some compassion, and when you go show him some compassion, make sure you wear your mother's dress. So you already seeing what he's doing. He's trying to get into that lineage and pretty much sacrifice his daughter for the king so she could bear a child, pretty much. That's what you see. So she goes in there, and you know the king is in all white, and you can see where he's building the whole 7 kingdoms and the castles and all that. He's building that, what we later see in Game of Thrones, like the map, and he's building that den. And he pretty much she told him that when her mom died, she just wanted somebody to come and say sorry for your loss. So that touched them, because everybody was worried about what's going on out here in the world and heir to the throne and all that. Meanwhile, somebody was there to show him compassion. So you can see where Otto is setting his daughter up, Alicent, to get in with the king so that she's young enough that he can have her bear a child for him. And so that you see that's what is great happening now. Keep in mind, she's also the best friend for Princess Rhaenyra, and so you can see the plot twist and the plot twist and all the different things that's going to go against everything. And then, of course, you know, the queen that never was, it's going to be a problem with her, because she's always going to feel like she was heir to the throne, and why would her Princess Rhaenyra get it? So it's a lot of plot twists, and Princess Rhaenys is, it's going to be an issue with her. So nevertheless, it was a good episode. It's going to be a lot of twists and turns. It's going to be a bit before we get all these different names locked down on who's what and the twists and the turns and this, that, and blah. But I'm here for it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Tell me what you think if you watched it. Tune in for the next episode 2. Till next time.